Welcome to the Crazy Chicken People podcast. If you're crazy about chickens, then you're in the right place. Hey, what's going on, everyone? Welcome back to the show. In today's episode, we're going to shake things up a bit and do something a little different. No coop cleaning tips or feed recipes this time. We're diving into the weird, wild world of chicken conspiracies and urban legends. Now, I love digging up new things to talk about and learning better ways to take care of our chickens. But I also love me a good conspiracy to talk about. But outside of the occasional joke, I don't get to do a whole lot of that on this show. Well, today we're going to change that up, at least for one episode. From claims that big poultry's out to sabotage our flocks, to whispers of hens casting spells from beyond the grave, these stories are equal parts crazy, factual, and fascinating. So grab a coffee and your favorite tinfoil hat, and let's unpack some of the strangest chicken tales out there. Figure out what's real, and see what they mean for us backyard chicken keepers. First up, let's talk about the Great Chicken Feed Conspiracy of 2023. You may have heard this one circulating on social media, the idea that commercial chicken feed has been tampered with to stop backyard chickens from laying eggs. This theory gained traction in late 2022 and then into 23, during a time when egg prices were soaring. Backyard chicken keepers took to platforms like TikTok and Facebook, claiming their hens had suddenly stopped laying eggs after eating certain brands of store-bought feed. Tractor Supply's brand, Producer's Pride, was often at the center of those conversations, along with a few others. And this left some people accusing feed companies of deliberately sabotaging their products to force people to buy commercial eggs. And why would they do this? Well, to keep egg prices and, more importantly to them, profits sky high during avian flu outbreaks and inflation. I saw this all over Reddit's Backyard Chicken Forum, where folks swore that their hens went from regular laying to empty nests right after switching feed bags. Now, I can get why this caught fire. Egg prices were insane. And especially after COVID, there was a lot of trust loss between consumers and the big companies that were raking in record profits while the little guys were struggling to stay afloat. But let's break it down. Chickens can stop laying for a lot of reasons. Shorter days in winter, molting, stress, or even just getting old. Most hens need 12 to 14 hours of daylight to lay, but a lot of chicken keepers, especially newer ones, might not know this and maybe panic a little bit when the eggs dry up. So, was feed really being tampered with? Were those companies we've come to trust with our chicken's health really doing us dirty just to make an extra buck? The truth is, I wouldn't put it past them, but it does seem unlikely. Feed is heavily regulated, and those companies would be sued into oblivion if they got caught, I hope. But even worse, a place like Tractor Supply would lose all credibility with their customers if people found out they were tainting their feed just to do a favor for big egg producers. Now, I did have this thought. What if Tractor Supply is actually owned by a larger corporation that also owns some of the larger egg distribution companies? I started trying to connect the dots and follow the money to see if there was anything to this, but there really wasn't. Tractor Supply is a standalone business who would stand to lose a lot of customers if they were caught sabotaging feed. And I guess that gives you a little glimpse into how the crazy side of my brain works, but I wasn't the only one thinking this. Some folks on Reddit suggested testing suspect feed through independent labs, which they did, but no one found anything fishy. This conspiracy is juicy, and it really had some potential, but it lacks any real evidence. I hate letting those big companies off the hook and saying it wasn't them. I mean, big egg producers have been found guilty of collaborating to artificially raise the price of eggs multiple times, and they got slapped with a fine after admitting as much to Congress. But I don't think this one actually holds any water. It's still pretty weird that so many people reported a sudden drop-off in egg production, though. Okay, next, let's dig into a theory that hits kind of close to home. The idea that big poultry companies are making it harder for regular folks like us to raise chickens and produce our own eggs and meat. You've probably heard rumblings on homesteading forums or other social media posts claiming that companies like Tyson or Purdue are out to squash backyard flocks. Some say they're spiking feed with hormones and other chemicals that mess with our hens. Others point to local laws that ban chicken coops or owning roosters and restrict your ability to sell your eggs. And they swear it's corporate lobbying at work. And I don't think it's crazy to make that connection. The theory implies that those who control the egg industry don't want people to become too self-sufficient and risk cutting into their profits. While there's no direct evidence tying corporate agriculture to these zoning restrictions, it's undeniable that many aspiring backyard chicken keepers face very frustrating roadblocks. Some cities require costly permits and limit the number of chickens you can own, while a lot of HOAs will just ban a backyard flock altogether. And even in areas where you are allowed to own chickens, many people still can't own a rooster without facing the threat of fines or having their animals taken away. And think about that for a second. An animal that has been a symbol for so many different cultures throughout time, that helped humans survive and grow and expand for thousands of years, can now be taken away from you and result in you being taxed extra hard, just because you live close to other people. These codes cite noise as being the reason for banning roosters, but that doesn't really add up when you compare the noise of a morning crow against other sounds commonly found in a neighborhood. And even though it might sound like crazy talk to say that some big corporation is trying to keep you from being self-sufficient, this definitely wouldn't be the first time. There's a ton of laws right here in the US that lobbyists have helped push through that restrict the size of a garden you can own or require that you register it, prevent you from owning certain food production animals like bees, quail, or ducks, or just make it impossible to build a greenhouse that allows you to harvest food throughout the year by putting up enough red tape and permit costs to keep people from even wanting to do it. I mean, they even levy taxes on us in the form of licenses and tag costs if you want to go out in the wild and harvest your own food. Whether or not there's a corporate conspiracy at play here is debatable. But at the end of the day, the impact is the same. Fewer people get to enjoy the benefits of raising their own flocks and food. And that's not cool. If you're dealing with zoning restrictions or HOA pushback, I would really suggest that you don't give up. Research your local laws and consider joining forces with other chicken enthusiasts in your community to advocate for change. Because if people like us don't stand up for what we know is right, how long will it be until none of us are allowed to own chickens or gardens or whatever else it is you do to take care of yourself? Okay, now let's talk about a conspiracy that's real and kind of timely with what's going on in the world today. I'm talking about the chicken tax. Back in the 60s, Europe had slapped tariffs on American chickens, claiming that our cheap drumsticks were flooding their markets and putting their farmers out of business. The US lost millions of dollars in revenue due to this, so President Johnson hit back with a 25% tax on European products, including light trucks, aiming at the Volkswagen's smaller vans and pickups. Why trucks? Well, the auto union leaned hard on Johnson to protect Detroit from foreign competition. Now, Europe eventually dropped their chicken tax on us, but the truck tax stuck, and it's still in effect today, jacking up prices for pickups that we use to haul feed and animals. And this reshaped the international truck market. German imports tanked, the VW's Type 2 sales crashed to under 5,000 units, and Japanese brands like Toyota and Datsun yanked their compact trucks too, after the new tax made them too expensive to import. Now, American giants like Ford, Chevy, and Dodge rule the market, pushing their bigger rigs like the popular F-150. But if you want a small, inexpensive truck like Toyota's $10,000 IMVO, tough luck. Those affordable trucks that people are able to buy overseas to operate small farms can't be shipped here for a cost that matches their smaller capacity. For us chicken folk who would prefer to not have to spend $60K on a vehicle just so we can go pick up some scratch and straw, it's a punch to the gut. Compact, inexpensive trucks would be a huge help for the little guys who just need to haul some feed around. But we're stuck with full-size gas guzzlers or still very expensive mid-size options that cost a fortune. Some say it's no accident. Big auto and big poultry keeping us dependent on their systems instead of our own eggs and wheels. It's probably more about politics and petty trade wars than a grand plot. At least that's what we're supposed to think. But either way, the effect is the same. More expensive trucks make it harder for regular people to be self-sufficient. Sound like a reoccurring theme? Okay, now we're going to get really weird with the mutant chicken conspiracy. Have you ever seen those online posts about headless chickens or birds with extra wings, supposedly engineered by fast food chains? Thrillist ran a piece back in 2016 about claims that the poultry companies were cooking up Franken-chickens to pump out more nuggets. Franken-chicken was actually my own term, but it's kind of fitting considering what factory-raised meat birds look like. The story goes they're breeding headless, featherless monster chickens with 4 breasts to keep KFC happy. It sounds like something from a low-budget horror movie, but there's actually some truth to the story. Industrial broiler chickens are bred to grow fast, hitting slaughter weight in just 6 weeks. And there's nothing natural about that. And yes, there was a featherless breed experiment years ago, but it didn't really pan out, thankfully. Now the headless thing, that's fiction, fortunately. There's no lab making zombie birds just yet. But genetic engineering is real. And while they say it's meant for disease control rather than creating a chicken that grows extra buffalo wings, it's still kind of creepy knowing that people are out there manipulating the DNA of the things we eat. I mean, factory farming is just gross. Those cramped cages full of steroid-pumped birds that live in total filth. It's why the idea that people can't raise chickens in their backyard because it's a threat to public safety, while places like this are still allowed to be in business. I mean, how do people not question what's really going on? But sadly, there's not much we can do to stop it. I don't see humanity going back to the old ways, at least not until there's some kind of apocalyptic event like the grid going down or nuclear war. But I think that it makes it even more important for people who care about this stuff, care about keeping our ability to stay self-sufficient as much as possible, to keep fighting for those rights, to outwardly question ridiculous laws, and to inform others who are on the fence. Because if we don't, big business will happily watch us lose those rights. And we'll probably never get them back. Okay, this one's for those of us who are interested in the strange and supernatural. The belief that chickens can curse their keepers, even from the afterlife. Folklore from cultures around the world and throughout time tell of chickens that emit eerie sounds or show strange behavior when mistreated. In those stories, misfortune hits those owners who fail to care for their flock properly by hitting them with financial troubles that can ruin them, or unexplainable accidents, and even chicken keepers who get mysteriously disappeared. In many cultures, the story of a hen that crows like a rooster is seen as a bad omen. The crowing hen was thought to be a sign of supernatural disturbance or even a cursed flock, and neglecting such a hen could invite death and calamity into that household. This superstition has been documented across the world, popping up in early America and even earlier than that in parts of Europe. And a lot of times, the offending hen was killed to prevent any misfortunes. But others tried hard to make sure that hen was well taken care of, fearing that killing it could mean even worse news falling on their homes. There's also the story of chickens and their evil eye. In some Middle Eastern traditions, chickens are believed to have the power of the evil eye. And people believe that a chicken's stare can curse you with bad luck, or sick hens, or even a coop full of cracked eggs. If a chicken stopped laying eggs suddenly, it could be interpreted as a curse placed by the bird in response to mistreatment. Maybe that's what was happening to all those people blaming the chicken feed. The curse could manifest in misfortunes like malfunctions of farm equipment, crop failure, or trouble for members of the family. And even though there's no scientific basis for these claims, they do serve as a reminder of the respect and care that all living creatures deserve, especially the ones that are such a close part of our lives. And hopefully it's obvious that I don't buy into the stuff about curses. Karma maybe, I think if you put bad out into the world, treat people or animals poorly, then that's probably what you're going to get back. But I only mention them because I like learning about other cultures and how chickens have played a part in human development. And I really do think it's a good reminder for all of us to treat our animals with respect and show them the love that they show to us, even if you do plan to eventually eat them. That's it for today, guys. Thanks for giving me the time to talk about the stranger side of chicken keeping. And hopefully, you picked up on some tips on how to stay safe from any chicken curses. You all take care. I'll talk to you again in a couple of weeks. See you later.